Hey everybody, welcome to EduMatch. Thank you so much for tuning in. So follow along with us at podcasts with an s.edumatch.org/tweet talk. You can also use our hashtag on Twitter, EduMatch. So today I am so happy to have with us Stephanie Jacobs, who is a contributing author to EduSnap 17. So welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your contribution to the book. Your chapter was amazing, as I was telling you before we went live. So, for our viewers who may not be familiar with you, let me give them your bio. So, Stephanie is a 19-year veteran in education who resides in Rock Hill, South Carolina. She's currently an instructional technology coach. Her background includes teaching in grades pre-K through 5, as well as serving 2 years as an elementary school principal and internship supervisor at Winthrop University, respectively. Stephanie also serves as an adjunct instructor at York Technical College in the area of reading. She is passionate about education and shares her passion through blogging and presenting at a variety of educational conferences. Wow, you keep busy, don't you?
I do. I try to.
That is so awesome. Well, again, we are so happy to have you here. So, so if you could tell us a little bit more about your background and who or what inspired you to go into education.
Okay. I have certifications and degrees, all from Winthrop University. My certifications are in early childhood education, elementary education, reading, educational leadership, which is administration. And I really got started or interested in education or teaching through the teacher cadet program that I took in high school. And of course, our group, when we took it in high school, our goal was just to get a college credit. But by the end of the course, my teacher, and her name is Miss Pam Walters, shout out to her, she mentioned to us, she asked us, who would we want to see teaching our children? And at the time, of course, none of us were interested in being teachers or going into education. But when she posed that question to us, I really felt like everybody in that room were some of the best and brightest in our school. And of course, to me, that's who I would want teaching my children. And so I felt like that was my call to be a teacher. And she connected me with a student at Winthrop, and that's where I went. That was my major, and the rest is history.
Well, that is awesome. So shout out to your teacher. So, so what's your teacher's name again? Let's give her one more shout out.
Pam Walters.
Pam Walters. Thank you, Pam Walters, for bringing us such an awesome educator to our profession. So awesomeness. So if you could tell us about your own journey and connecting with other educators, how did you get connected with other educators and what kinds of things have you learned along the way?
I have to say the biggest connector for me was Twitter. And I know, talking with a lot of educators, I try to tell them to get on Twitter, social media, and interact with other educators. And I hear, their stories and how they get frustrated. And I was there. When I first got on Twitter, I didn't get it. I didn't understand. And I went to a conference and someone sat us down and walked us through and told us who to connect with and talked about Twitter chats. And I started with Stat Chat, which I still do. I wake up every Saturday morning at 7:30 and just building those connections through Twitter, and the Twitter chats has really been such a huge inspiration for me as an educator, and has allowed me to connect with people who are not only in my school or in my state, but worldwide. And that has been huge for me as an educator.
Right, absolutely. And Sat Chat is one of my favorites as well. I think that might have been the second chat I started. Yeah, because the first week, this is a funny story. So I saw the hashtag Sat Chat and I saw a bunch of people in my network using it. And I was just like, what is this? So I tried to join out, and I put out a tweet. I was just like, is it okay if I join? And of course, it's like, so
Yes.
Nobody saw it. But once I figured out what it was and I went back, and it was awesome. So
yeah, it is fast moving.
Oh yeah, fast and furious. So love it. All right, cool. So your chapter is going to be about your chapter is about blogging. So how did you become interested in blogging?
Okay, I feel like I'm doing a lot of shout outs here. So with blogging, in my other half, when I was showing him the questions, he said, you make sure you let them know that you are blogging because of me. And it was something that he told me as an educator, I have been shy and really reserved and not wanting a lot of credit. When you do things as an educator, you just do it either because it needs to be done or to reach students. And when he said that, it was not just about getting my own story out there, but it was really personal for me. And at the time, I was an administrator, and I wanted to have a chance to reflect, because anybody who is in administration or has been, sometimes it can really be a lonely position, and you really just need to get those thoughts and those feelings out. And for me, blogging was a way to do that. And so I blogged as an administrator, and it was just a way for me to reflect on what I was doing each day. And then it kind of spiraled into when I would go to conferences. It was a way for me to really keep those resources that I learned and have some place where I could quickly go back to and see what I had learned and keep track of those resources. And as a result, I just so happen to be able to share that with others as well.
Absolutely. I definitely second everything that you're saying. I'm over here nodding my head like a bobblehead. That's what, we were just talking about blogging this week with some educators in our district, and everything you're saying, like keeping a record for yourself, reflecting, sharing out the knowledge, those are all great, great reasons to blog. So fantastic. So what can people expect to read in your chapter about blogging in EduSnap 17?
In my chapter, I really started out and wanted to share a personal story, because for me, blogging is truly personal. And I want educators to realize that you have a lot of different avenues that you can use as a blogger. You can use it to share resources or share your personal story or even share something that you're interested in. So there are a lot of ways to share your story or share your passions through blogging. So I wanted to share a personal story so that people could see that. And that was also one of the ways that I knew that my blog was touching other people. It was something that happened. We lost a faculty member, and it was really stressful for me. And I went home and I blogged and I shared it with my staff. And so many people commented to me in person or on the blog and just said how much that story touched them. And, you never know how your blog touches people. But when I shared that story and having those interactions with my coworkers and hearing, how it touched them, that really helped me to know how my blog was reaching other people.
Yeah, totally. It was a very, very touching tribute that you have in your chapter. So, yeah. So, what have been like your biggest takeaways regarding blogging?
With blogging, when I share at conferences about blogging, there are really two avenues that I take. I usually start out and ask people, why are you here? What are things you want to know about blogging? And I usually have a split. Some people are there because they want to blog themselves, but then I also have people who are there because they want their students to blog. And I've done both. So I've been a blogger, and I've also incorporated blogging into the classroom. And so I share, my experiences, my knowledge, or my resources about, either approach. And I always say that if you are going to use blogging in the classroom, that I think it's helpful if you blog yourself, because then when you're telling your students about blogging, or they have questions, or they come across problems or issues, you can better answer their questions because you've been on that other side as well. And I know people can be apprehensive about blogging, but I always say, don't be afraid. If you don't want to make it personal, that's fine. But it is a great writing tool, a great reflection tool, and it just gives you that good perspective of how to help your students who, probably will one day, use blogging or some sort of platform. So I try to give, tips like that, or offer resources for people who are interested in either side of blogging.
Yeah, so that's a great idea. So when people want to use it with their students, if they do it themselves, and they'll kind of learn about it as well, so that they can introduce it to students. So
Right.
excellent. So really quickly, I just want to give a shout out to Rochelle, who is interacting with us on the YouTube live page. So hey, Rochelle.
Hi, Rochelle.
So she's also in EduSnap 17. So awesomeness. So all right. So going back to blogging, what tools and or tips would you recommend to anyone interested in blogging, and why?
Okay. Now, again, when I present, I always share with my audience that personally I use Blogger, and that's just the tool that works for me. But I also share other resources, which I also do that in my chapter, because I do understand that, some people may not be comfortable or familiar with Blogger. They may have another resource that they use. And so I always say, find something that works for you. And so if you're not sure, hey, try Blogger, because then you can reach out to me and I can help you with that. But if you use that and you realize, yeah, that's not working for me, then you can use another resource. There are so many different platforms for blogging. With students, I always use Seesaw. I like that tool because I think if you want to start blogging with kindergartners, I used it with first graders. And they were able to blog. And, some people think, well, they can't even write or spell. But what I loved about Seesaw is that they don't have to write anything. They can record themselves and still share their thoughts. And so to me, that's a great platform because it allows you to reach a broad range of students. You can start out with students who are younger, who can't read, and then they can kind of transition into the part where they are actually writing and blogging. It's a safe space to me for sharing with other classrooms because there are other classroom blogs that you can connect with. So it's a great way for you to have students blogging and connecting with other classrooms that are blogging as well. So those are some of the resources that I kind of put out there.
That is great. And I love that for the younger kids, they're able to just kind of video themselves or record themselves. Absolutely. And then that's like their transition into blogging. So love that. All right. So this is just one general question that we're going to end on. What advice do you have for other educators based on your experiences in education?
My biggest piece of advice is make sure that, whatever your hesitations or limitations are with technology or blogging, don't be hesitant to just try it and introduce it to your students. Even if you are not an expert, and still learn from that resource, they can pick up on it really quickly, and sometimes even teach you something. And that's something that I learned in the classroom was that, there are still many technology resources as a technology coach that I am not familiar or comfortable with, but I don't want that to hinder students from having that access and being able to explore that tool. Because I feel like even in education, even though, I'm the coach or the teacher, I can still learn, and I can still learn from students. And I feel like that's what we're there for, is to give them the opportunity and really encourage them to be innovators and really take the wheel in education and drive, our instruction.
Totally. I love that. I love that advice. So wonderful, wonderful. This has been a great conversation. So thanks again for joining us. And if you could please just tell everyone where they can connect with you online.
Okay. You can connect with me I'm on Facebook, and it's Miss Class in Session. Also on Twitter, Miss Class in Session as well. And I have a Weebly webpage. It's missclassinsession.weebly.com. So if you just look up Miss Class in Session, all those are ways that you can connect with me. And then I have my blog, which it's not Miss Class in Session. It's thisblogiswhy.blogspot.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Stephanie. This was an awesome conversation with some great takeaways for our viewers. So
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. Same here. Same here. So I just wanted to remind everyone today is Bonanza part number 4. And for part 4, we have 4 episodes. So we just did the first one. So the second one is coming up at 4 p.m. with Ray Wood. So check that out. So 4 p.m. Eastern. Then at 6 p.m. we have our Tweet and Talk moderated by Tatul and Toya about the K-16 bridge. So talking about K-12 and higher ed connections, because that's what we do here. And last but certainly not least, we have a panel on Bunsey at 7 p.m. So check back, same bat channel, podcast with an s.edumatch.org/tweet talk. So, oh, and also tomorrow we will be talking with Dan Kreiness. So don't forget about that one. So, yeah. So everyone have a great one. See you in a couple hours. All right.
Thank you.
Peace.